Hello, everybody, and we are live. Welcome to yet another webinar where we'll be handling and tackling some cool GTM tactics. And yeah, we're expecting a bunch of people today. As usual, we have some 300 people joining us now over the next couple of minutes. And I mean, rightfully so, because the topic we're going to be handling today is something that we've been quite pioneering in Aimfox, and that's basically renting LinkedIn profiles, scaling your LinkedIn outreach campaigns. But that's just the first step, right? So getting the profiles is just the first step in being successful with this. We've seen a lot of different teams at the same time struggle, but then we've seen other teams really excel in these strategies. So basically, the idea today is this is going to be more of like a workshop approach where we're going to be talking, where I'm going to be showing you 3 strategies that we've seen just perform really well. So I know this says it's the strategies done by Alex CEO, but it's going to be more like strategies Alex CEO has seen and copied from our users and kind of used for himself. So I'm not going to be taking credit for that. All right, awesome. So I see we already have some people joining. We're gonna give people some more time to catch on. And just like an intro before we jump into this about the rental profiles. So there are basically 2 types of LinkedIn profiles that you can rent. Right? So they can either be ID verified profiles belonging to real people or AI generated or just generated profiles that are basically grown and nurtured for the purpose of being used to scale outreach campaigns. So we at Aimfox, like we've like over the last 9 months or 10 months, how long we've been doing this, we've been playing around with both types of profiles, and both have their own purpose. Right now, we're mainly focusing on providing ID verified profiles. So if you go into Aimfox now, if you get a profile, it's going to be ID verified. Even if we don't, like at this moment, we're not promoting that anywhere, but that's just what we're currently focusing on. In the future, we're planning to kind of like expand our offer, and we're warming up big batches of profiles that we're going to be releasing soon into the wild. But we want to make sure that they're good to go before we do so. And all right, awesome. So I see we have some people hopping on already. Drop us a comment if you're here for the first time, and our team might have a little surprise for you when they reach out. So just drop us a thumbs up if this is your first time on the Aimfox webinar. And all right, getting into it. So as I said, the agenda for today's call is going to be we're going to go over 3 different strategies on how you can use these profiles to successfully scale your outbound, book more meetings, be it for yourself or for your clients. We have both agencies and brands excelling at using these approaches, and some are doing like 150 profiles. So that's quite a lot of firepower. Especially like if you compare it to cold emailing, where you get you're lucky if you get 2%, 3% reply rates. LinkedIn is going to be a lot closer to 10%. And then when doing things right and working with a good list, it's going to be a lot higher. So loads of profiles give you a lot of firepower, but you also get a lot of results in return. So the 3 strategies we're going to be talking about today, and I'm just going to add this to the stage here. Let me just go back a few slides. Awesome. Hey, Preston, welcome. I see it's your first time here. Awesome. All right, so 3 strategies. So we're going to be going over 3 different approaches you can use when renting the profiles. The first approach is going to be scaling connection requests. So that's pretty straightforward. You get a bunch of, you get 10 profiles from us. You send 200 connection requests, or 400 connection requests per day. They get accepted, and then you initiate a messaging sequence. So that is going to be like the most straightforward way to approach it, but I'm going to dive into the numbers and the math behind it and kind of like break everything down into steps. The other strategy we're going to be going over is going to be how to use avatars to basically dominate multi-channel. When I say multi-channel, I'm referencing to cold emailing. So we're doing email outreach and LinkedIn outreach as part of one system, right? And this is where Aimfox performs really well because we have native integrations with Instantly, with Smart Lead, with Email Bison, with all of the major emailing sequencers. And then the third strategy is going to be scaling in-mails to open profiles with rental accounts. Now, that's an advanced strategy, and it's something that we are still, so we have all the functionalities and the support for it, but it's something that we're working very closely with a number of our users in improving this feature. But we're already seeing some really good results. But we'll get into that towards the end of the webinar, and then we'll talk about how you can scale sending free in-mails to open profiles. So this means your in-mail credits are not being used. All right, awesome. I'm just going to have a sip of Red Bull. And we can start. By the way, keep it active, guys. So like when you have questions, just drop them in the comments section, and I'll be handling them live, and we'll be chatting live. If anybody wants to join the webinar live and ask questions with the camera on, you guys are more than welcome to. Just shoot a message in the chat, and I'll send you an invite to join. And okay, so let's kick it off with the first strategy. So scaling connection requests. So scaling connection requests, as I said, the outreach sequence is quite straightforward there. You view a profile, you send a connection request, you send that connection request can have a note attached to it, or it doesn't need to have a note. And once the connection request gets accepted, you initiate a messaging sequence. So it's going to be like one message after 1 day, second message after 3 days, fifth message, whenever. So you build out that sequence. Now, what can you actually do there? So in terms of targeting your ICP, that's like going to be the first step, right? First step is going to be targeting your ICP. Second step is going to be messaging, right? And how you're approaching the outbound sequence. So when figuring out how to target your ICP, you can, of course, do custom lists. So like you can do your ICP, your lead building outside of Aimfox, and then you can just import that list. And that's what we see a lot of people doing. But we also give you advanced functionalities, how you can find your leads through LinkedIn. So we have native sales nav integration. We have you can use LinkedIn search to find these leads. You can scrape users from posts by using posts as a source for leads. You can go to groups on LinkedIn. There are a lot of different options, and I suggest that if you haven't already, check out the different types of campaigns we have. So, okay, going under the presumption that you have your list and that you're ready to do the outreach sequence, how much and what can you do? So I'm going to go off of an actual use case where we have an actual user running this with 50 rented LinkedIn profiles, and I'm going to show you also a screenshot from their workspace. So let's set this up. So the aim of the game, send connection requests to as many leads as possible, send messages, generate replies. Okay, so we're using 50 rented LinkedIn profiles. And with 50 rented LinkedIn profiles, we're able to send 40,000 connection requests per month. So basically, one LinkedIn profile allows you to send 40 connection requests per day. That's LinkedIn's limit. It's a 200 per week limit. And with 200 per week, if you have 50 profiles, you're going to be doing 10,000 connection requests per week or 2,000 connection requests per day. So that means you're reaching out to 2,000 new leads every day through LinkedIn. So for those guys thinking that LinkedIn outreach is not as scalable as cold emailing, this is me showing you that it is. And I'll actually show you results from a client. But before I show you those results, these are some benchmark numbers that you can expect to achieve here. So basically, with 50 LinkedIn profiles, you are going to be able to send 40,000 connection requests per month. A benchmark for acceptance rate is going to be around, now, of course, this always depends, but it's going to be around 30%, right? 25%, 30%. That's where you want to see your connection acceptance rate. And so you send 40,000 connection requests, 15,000 of them get accepted. 4,500 of those 15,000 reply to your message. So that's taking, again, a 25, 30% reply rate, but it's a reply rate not on the total number of leads contacted, but only of those that actually accepted the connection request. And if you go under the presumption that you get about 40% interested replies, that means that you're getting around 2,000 interested replies per month with a setup of 50 profiles. Now, what did the economics look like here? So if we do the math here, basically the way this looks is 50 profiles with our current pricing is going to cost you about $6,500 or $6,500 per month. Now that upfront, that does sound like, like a lot of money. But like when you put it into perspective, and the number that I like to look at is what is the cost per interested reply. And here, the cost per interested reply in this scenario is going to be around $3. Now, $3 is not that bad. Like, when you compare this to cold emailing stuff, $3 is a good number to have when it comes to an interested reply. Of course, interested reply is not the end of the pipeline, right? So then from there, you guys are going to continue the conversation. Some of them are going to book a call. So then you're going to have to figure out what the actual cost for book the call or for a paying conversion is. But this is something for you to consider. And here, I'll take a question right away here. 40% positive reply is quite a lot. Any recommendation how to structure the message to get that? Okay, so it's not only about structuring the message here. So if you're looking to get 40% reply rate, a few things matter. So for one, the lead list, right? That's going to be the biggest thing that impacts it. What I've seen running well is when you have a very good lead list that you are sure is interested in your offer, meaning that you've picked up an intent signal somewhere, or that that they're using a competitor tool, that they're following a competitor on LinkedIn, for example. And yeah, by the way, we have a YouTube video where we show you how to get followers from company pages of competitors on LinkedIn by using Aimfox. That might be something you want to check out. So if I would say, like, if you would want to focus on one thing, I would focus on the list building side, because that's like where you can make the most impact. Like, if you get it right, it can go really well. If you get it wrong, you can get like a 10% interested reply rate, right? And then everything falls apart, right? Like, even if it's like 20, 25, you're still going to be paying like $5, $6 per interested reply, which is still okay. I mean, you do your math. For somebody, it's going to be okay. For somebody, it's not. But I think for most people, it is going to be okay. But thank you for the question. All right. So back at this. So we said $3 per reply. And now I'm going to show you this, like how this looks on an actual workspace on Aimfox. And I'll change my screens here. And here is an example. So, sorry, I'm just going to move my camera a little bit because I see my laptop is in the way. 1 second, guys. All right. I was seeing my camera sliding, as I'm talking. Okay, cool. So basically, here's a good example of a user that's been using Aimfox, and they started at like 10 or 15 accounts, and then they scaled 25 to like 20, 25, and then they scaled to 50 rental profiles. And these are some of the numbers that they're seeing. So you can see, they're sending about 2,000 connection requests per day with these accounts. So if you look at the average there, it's about 40 connection requests per day. And, that's the maximum you're going to be able to do, right? So like we're spot on. Like, one of the things that Aimfox does really well is that, like, everything you schedule, we fulfill. So there is a lot of like work under the hood that we put in to make sure the system is stable. And so, okay, so you see, like, over the last 30 days, they've been sending connection requests. They've viewed 40,000 profiles. They've sent this many invites. Now, the reason why there is a difference between profile views and invites is because they've just scaled the campaigns. So like, we first view a profile and then we come back, and as per their campaign settings, we come back in a day and we send a connection request. And you can see how that scaling is working. And here is another screen. Like, this is same time frame, same user, but here we're looking at replies. And if I switch between these two screens, you see how replies are scaling with the outbound volume. So these guys, they're sending about 2,000 connection requests per week this week, and per day. And you're going to see they're getting about 1,700 replies. About 150 replies. Again, keep in mind that this week is going to ramp up, and this gradually increases because not everybody replies right away. And this is a setup that's going to cost you about $6K a month. And with this setup, this is what you get. So, okay, I see we have a few questions. I'm going to handle them now. All right. Okay, so here's a good one. If people send messages to those rented profiles after the renting period, so what happens? So I'm building up other profiles, their connections grow, but that doesn't mean that my contacts grow. Right. So once the rental period finishes, we basically offboard the account. So we are going to delete all prior conversations you had using this profile. And if anybody is going to be sending messages in the future to that account, they're not going to have a conversation. They're going to be able to reference to and to send on. So the only way for them to do it practically would be they would need to find the account, go on it, send the message, and just do the outreach. So yes, I mean, this is an asset that we do rent to you. So as long as you keep that asset, you can use the network that that profile has built out. However, keep in mind that we also give you options to export all of the first connections, to export all of this lead data, to export the conversations. You can export everything. Like, we don't lock you in any way with the data, right? If you want to go and use another tool or whatever, we're fine. We're going to give you exports, and you're happy. You're free to do so. So that was a good question, Peter. Thank you for that. And all right, CRM chaos. Oh my God, that's literally what our CRM looks like, chaos. But the question is good. How does this work when leads start replying? Is there a unified inbox to manage them all? Absolutely. So we have a unified inbox where you have all of the conversations from all of the LinkedIn profiles connected to that workspace. Now, the way we keep this organized is you can filter conversations based on campaigns they originate from, based on accounts they come from, based on labels, a lot of different options there, but everything is organized in one place. If I would say if there is something that sets us apart, it's that the Unibox on Aimfox has real-time refresh rates. Now, if you're using other tools, you're going to see a considerable lag in replies in their Uniboxes. And I'm not going to name any because I know this applies to all. With Aimfox, these replies are going to be synced almost simultaneously. The only time that there can be a desync when a message is not showing inside of Aimfox, it's when the communication or the messaging has been done off of platform, off of Aimfox. So if you decide to continue the conversation on your cell phone, on LinkedIn, then we don't know that we have to listen for the conversation anymore. And there we might have a lag that might be 20, 30, 40 minutes before we relook at it. So yeah, I hope this helps. I mean, I was going a bit off topic, but just wanted to bring it up. And this is a really good one. What about AI response handling? Any updates on being able to do this? That's a very good question, and this is actually a feature that is on our roadmap. It's the second feature so the first big feature we're building now is a full flow builder that's going to give you like options to branch things out and just be a lot more granular. The second big feature we'll be releasing, and this is going to be in Q3 this year, and that's going to be AI agents handling your responses. Now, you can still do this currently, but you will have to work around it. So, for example, we have a lot of companies or teams, using our native N8N integration and basically fetching the replies from all the conversations from new leads, labeling them, generating a reply, and sending the reply back to Aimfox, and then we send it to the user. So, we are extremely API friendly, and we have an MCP server as well. We have native integrations with N8N, with Make, so you can do all of this fancy stuff already. But we are building it in natively for sure. All right. Here, I'll handle a general question here. Will the rented profiles be branded as though an employee from ours? Yes, 100%. So you get full branding options for the LinkedIn profiles. This means that you're able to change their banner photo, their company, headline, past experience, location, everything, So we're very flexible there, and we work with you to make sure that this profile runs in and is basically your remote employee. Especially because these people, these profiles in most cases belong to real people. They're ID verified, ID backed. So these are real people outreaching on your behalf. And yeah, that's what I just answered, Peter. Are these profiles with IDs? Yes, they are with IDs. Do these people use them for their own purposes? They don't, because the contract that they sign with us basically requires them to lose access to their account for the lease period. And we go a step further. So we actually put 2FA on these profiles, and they get logged out of their LinkedIn account. Of course, this is all clearly communicated, and they're always able to gain their profile back. They just need to give us a notice, but we are very transparent in how we work. But they don't, so they practically lose access to their LinkedIn profile during the lease period, because we pay them for this on a monthly level. All right, so just to kind of stay on track, I'm not going to get carried away with more questions. We'll jump over to the second strategy, and then we can tackle some questions, some other questions as well. Now, dominating multi-channel. That's actually a really big one that we see a lot of people succeeding with. And the reason is very simple. So if you're using cold emailing as your primary outbound channel, which most of the people are, about 80% of our user base uses cold emailing, does cold emailing. Then if you're using it as a primary outbound channel, you're lucky if you're getting 3, 4, 5% reply rates to your sequences. Now, this means that 95+% of your list just does not reply or goes to waste. And you do like a 3 email sequence or a 2 email sequence. If you're pushy, you're going to do 4 emails in a period of 3 months, and you're done. However, it doesn't mean that 95% of that list is not good. On the contrary, like if you're getting like 4% reply rate, that means that that entire list is very good. It's just a question of, deliverability, email infrastructure, spam filters, and then at the end of the day, just, I know my inbox is just like overloaded with emails. So it's a lot harder to get to people. And here, as I said, we have native integrations with every major emailing sequencer. So with Instantly, Smart Lead, Email Bison, Sales Handy as well. And I mean, by the way, if anybody here is using a different emailing sequencer to this, let us know in the comments, and then we can take a look at doing an integration with them. So we have native integrations, and one of the triggers that this native integration gives on all 3, 4 of these platforms is going to be the option to send a lead to Aimfox if the lead does not reply to an emailing sequence. So the way this works on Instantly, if an emailing sequence ends and 24 hours after the end of the sequence, there is still no reply from these leads, these leads get sent into a campaign on Aimfox. Of course, the prerequisite here is that you need to have a LinkedIn URL for these leads. So this leads gets sent into your Aimfox campaign, and then you've built out an Aimfox campaign that sends them a connection request, a message, etc. And then we're back at the general use case, right? You're aiming to get a 30-40% acceptance rate. You're aiming to get a 20-30% reply rate from those who accept. Tra-la-la. The bottom line is that you're going to be able to squeeze another 5 to 10% replies from the list you're practically recycling, right? So you take the same list, who doesn't reply, you send to Aimfox, and you get another 5 to 10% replies from that list. And that's super powerful because a lot of you guys are using advanced tools such as Clay to build custom messaging, are spending a lot of time in segmenting your leads. So you put all of this work and 95% of it goes to waste. If you add Aimfox into the equation, this will reduce that waste. Now, why avatars or LinkedIn profiles you rent from us matter here? It's because the sheer quantity of this. So if you're reaching out to 1,000 leads per day, let's say you're sending 1,000 emails and 950 of them are not replying. So that means you send 950 connection requests per day. Now, if you want to send 950 connection requests per day, you're going to need 25 rented LinkedIn profiles. So I'm just going to move my camera. I'm just going to shut myself off just one sec here, just to make this, because I see it's, sorry guys. I just want to, yes, I just need to add myself back to the stage. Okay. So audio, okay, I see some comments here. Audio went when you removed the camera view. Oh, did it? Okay, my bad, guys. Then I'll go for this again. Sorry for that. What I was saying is that, let me just make sure that doesn't happen again. Okay, you should be able to hear me now. So what I was saying is that when you do the math here, you are still going to be getting a 5% reply rate. $5 per interested reply, and that's like with 25 profiles, it's going to cost you 3.2K. You're going to get about 30 interested replies per day, basically. So still, like, if you put it into perspective, like, the big value here is that, like, you're just using the same list, the same messaging you built. You're just adding it more, giving it more longevity, and adding LinkedIn as a channel. For me, this is practically a no-brainer that every team that is doing email outreach should also be doing. All right, I hope I said everything I wanted to say. Sorry for the technical difficulties here. Okay, so a few questions on this. What do you think the ideal target audience size should be per campaign? Like, there is none. Like, this really depends on how big your TAM is. So, like, the market you're addressing, right? It can be as small as a few thousand. It can be as big as hundreds of thousands. The important thing is, with these avatars, we give you the scale you need to reach out to 1,000 new leads per day, 5,000 new leads per day, whatever you need. But you always need to keep in mind, so I'm just going to put myself back here. But you always need to keep in mind the cost, that like how much this is costing you and what you're getting out of it. That's why the interested reply is you should always have a benchmark for example, an interested reply or a reply or a connection request accepted, and just keep track of that, because this can be expensive. And if you're missing the mark, it can get very expensive very quickly. Again, same thing applies for emails. Like, if you're just going to spam and getting like a 0.5% reply rate, I mean, you're just wasting money. All right. So can you share the link to build audiences through Aimfox? Would love to have a look. Actually, so please, we'll send you a link to start a free trial on Aimfox. And basically, yeah, just go sign up for the free trial, give it a spin, and then you can check out the different campaign types from within the app. All right, cool. So I have a question for those of you in the audience, like which emailing sequencer are you guys using for sending your emails? That would be very, very great to hear. And while we wait for your replies, we'll be moving on to the third strategy here. So this is a really fun one. Just a quick recap for those of you that joined late. First was just using Aimfox to find your leads on LinkedIn, or bringing a custom list and just scaling connection requests like crazy and getting some really good results. Second strategy was integrating with your mailing sequencer and contacting all of the leads that didn't reply to your emails. And this is going to be 95% of your list. You've already put in all the work with the custom variables, with the messaging, with the list building. It's just a waste not to do it. And yeah, and then scaling InMails to open profiles. Now, for those of you that don't know, I don't know if anybody here in the audience is familiar with the concept. If it is, it will be great to hear your take, but I'll just give you an overview. So basically, LinkedIn gives you the option to send InMails for free if a profile has premium or Sales Navigator license. If the profile receiving the InMail has a premium or Sales Navigator license, or what we call is an open profile. Now, through Aimfox, you can automatically identify open profiles, and you can basically take them out of the batch of leads and just send them InMails. These InMails are not going to be eating up your InMail credits. They're completely free. However, if you want to really max out the limits here, and if you want for this to work, there are a few requirements that you need. First requirement is that the LinkedIn profile you're using for this outreach needs to be ID verified or ID backed. Now, in some cases, this might work with a profile that's not ID verified, but in a lot of cases, you're not going to be able to add a Sales Navigator license to a profile that is not ID verified. So this brings me to the second requirement. To do this outreach effectively, you need to have a Sales Navigator license. Now, we work with suppliers that can give you those Sales Navigator licenses very affordably. I just want to do this full screen. Okay. And basically, this is something for you to take into the equation. Now, where things get interested is that with one LinkedIn profile, you can assign multiple Sales Navigator licenses to a single LinkedIn profile. And each of these licenses is going to have its own limit to how many free emails it can send on a monthly basis. So we support a rotation of Sales Navigator licenses to basically maximize your output. And so you can have one LinkedIn profile, you can have 5 Sales Navigator licenses, and it's going to be able to send a lot of connection requests, because basically we're going to be sending, a lot of emails, because we're going to be sending emails from one Sales Nav license, then we're going to switch, we're going to send emails from another Sales Nav license, and so on and so forth. So the fourth functionality here that you need to have is the option to rotate these licenses. We give you this option from within Aimfox. Currently, we don't have auto rotation, but if you're not watching this live, if you're watching this in 2-3 weeks from now, we probably launched auto rotation as well. And that's going to be just a smart system managing the licenses in the background and just maximizing the outreach for you. So let's do the license math, right? Okay, I'm going to try and remove my camera here and keep my audio. I think my audio is still here. It is, because I just want you to see all the numbers. So let's go through a basic case here. You're using 5 rented profiles. And those profiles are costing you $645 per month. Now, for 5 rented profiles, you're going to need 25 Sales Nav licenses. So you're going to put 5 Sales Nav licenses on every profile. Those licenses are going to cost you about $700 per month. Now, if you notice, this is going to be a lot cheaper than what you're paying on LinkedIn. That's because we procure these licenses through suppliers that work with LinkedIn directly. We don't earn any money from this. We give you basically the supplier price exclusively through Aimfox for these Sales Nav licenses, because we want you to have them as cheap as possible, because you're going to get the most results, and we just want people to scale. That's like all we want is for you guys to scale. So you're going to be able to do about 600 free emails per month per license. That's roughly the math. So 600 free emails per month per license. With 25 licenses in 5 rented profiles, you're going to be able to send 15,000 free emails per month. Now, on emails, you're going to be seeing, on average, we see about a 6% reply rate. That means that you're going to be getting about 400 interested replies per month. And again, if you do the same math calculation, if you take into account the license cost and the profile cost you get from us, you're going to be sitting at around $3 per interested reply. Now, this is something that is, let me just put myself back in here. Now, this is something that is very, very kind of advanced to do in the GTM space. And there are people doing it very successfully. There are a lot of people who are pretending like, pretending like this is black magic. It's not like, LinkedIn gives you this functionality. It's just from a tool standpoint, it's very hard to nail it down exactly. So we're working very closely with some big senders here. And we're getting their feedback. We're listening to their feedback, and we're basically building it out and constantly improving it. So I'm going to handle. Let's go to some questions again, and this is a super relevant one. Again, Mr. Chaos, did I get that right? One, there are connection requests with rented profiles to in-mails that do not need a connection request. Exactly. So you got that 100% right. So on top of the 15,000 in-mails you're going to be sending with these 5 accounts, these 5 accounts are still going to be able to reach out to 800 new leads per account per month, which is 4,000 leads per month. So that stacks on top of it. And basically, we also have a very smart function within Aimfox. Is like if you upload a list of LinkedIn URLs, we're going to automatically segment them into open profiles and non-open profiles. And we have this feature that we call in-mail optimization, where if they're an open profile, you're going to be excluded from the connection campaign, and they're just going to be sent into the in-mail campaign. Now, you can also do in-mail only campaigns and connection request only campaigns. We have support. For both. Okay, cool. Here's one more. Are you planning to expand your built-in filters in the near future? So which filters specifically are you looking for? The only filters that we are adding now is, so we've added a filter where we identify if the profile is open or if it has premium. We're also planning to add in the future filters that are going to be using data such as when the account was created, how old is the account. We already have filters such as if it has a profile photo. Now I see what you mean. Revenue, employee size, among some of them. So you need Sales Nav. So buy a Sales Navigator license, go into Aimfox, do a Sales Nav source for the campaign, and you're going to be able to leverage all of the Sales Nav filters there. One of those filters is employee size. Revenue, I am pretty sure is not a Sales Navigator filter. You're going to have to use third-party tools and data orchestration to get that data if you want to segment based on that. Clay will be a good tool to hook those APIs into for sure. But employee size or team size is a native Sales Nav filter that you have within Aimfox. The only thing that you need in order to access it is a Sales Navigator license. And then with that, you unlock Sales Navigator campaigns. All right, guys. So this is a wrap pretty much. A quick recap for the in-mails. So basically $3 per interested reply for the free in-mails. Multi-channel, it's going to be about $5. Oh, I'm going to move this, and I'm going to just move so it's going to be about $5 for multi-channel, and it's going to be about $3 for just scaling renting out. So you can see like it's pretty consistent. The cost should be $3 to $5 for an interested reply, regardless of the strategy. The big question is how much scale can you do with each of these strategies? And lastly, like if you want to learn more about this, the best option would be to talk to our sales team, and we are available. We can show you the profiles you could be using. You can book a call with us. You can go into aimfox.com/demo and just book a call with the team, and then we can dive a little deeper into your specific use case and see how we can help you. One of the things that like we really kind of pride ourselves with is that like we are not just your customer support. We are your basically strategists, where we share all of these tips and tricks based on what we see working at different times. Yeah, and any last minute questions, I'm gonna do one or two more. Shoot them in the comments, and then we'll be wrapping this up. it's hard, guys. Like when I'm the only one, when I'm alone without a guest, it's just me talking for like an hour straight and I just dry up completely. So one sec. At least I'm trying to stay healthy with a no sugar Red Bull. All right. Would it be better to create a LinkedIn search outbound campaign or a custom list outbound campaign? So LinkedIn search campaign natively through Aimfox is super powerful. So if you're asking this question, then I have the answer for you. Don't do the custom list campaign. Do the LinkedIn search outbound campaign. If you already have elaborate lead building forces and options and skills, then you can combine or you can do just custom list. But if you're just getting started, just keep it simple and just get to those interested replies as soon as possible. Start the free trial, connect your LinkedIn profile, launch a campaign. You should have everything set up in 15, 20 minutes. And then just let it rip and just see how it performs. And to answer your follow-up question, is there an onboarding session available? I signed up but haven't received any onboarding yet. So onboarding sessions are available for higher tier users. So if you're just on our $49 plan, then you have you have our YouTube channel, you have our knowledge base. You have to explore things yourself. However, if you're getting rental profiles from us, if you're on our agency plan, then we can create a Slack channel together. We can have an email communication. We can have WhatsApp. There we onboard you. But in order to opt in for that, you need to get a few LinkedIn profiles from us or become an agency. And another follow-up question from you, Sonia. One rented account, I'm considering scaling 5 to 10, and 5 is actually where we start working with you. We basically, I'll ask my team to reach out to Sonia directly, and then we can work with you, we can onboard you, and we can make sure you set up all the foundations so that you are ready to go that next step and start scaling to 5 to 10. And this is how we see it happening in a lot of cases. You start at 1, 2, 3, you're testing the waters, and then you scale. That's one type of user. The other type of user is just people that have already did similar strategies in the past, and they just come in very hard. But building this up is the best way to go. If you remember me showing you, this is an example of a team building up the avatars, and you can see how things scale as they build this up. So, all right, guys, with that, I'll wrap this up. Thank you very much for coming here and for joining. We have some very interesting webinars coming up. Some of them, so keep an eye out for that. We're going to be doing an NA10 explanatory webinar. We're going to be doing a lot of cool things. So keep your eyes out for your emails. Check out our YouTube and subscribe to get the latest tips and tricks. Otherwise, just go over to Aimfox. If you're not using us, create a free account, and we can start scaling your outreach and getting you some awesome results. Again, thank you everybody for joining, and have an awesome rest of the week.